Haideți să vedem.
If we were going to depart from Infamous, like,
Ultimele
it's
păreri,
got to be
pentru că
awesome, and
show-ul
what
s-a
is
cam
the process
terminat.
to get there?
When we were looking at our next project, we wanted to stay open world because we're giving authority, power to the player. And we didn't want to walk away from that. We think it's integral to modern gaming that players are in charge.
And I think in true Sucker Punch fashion, we answered that with, hey, what does everybody at the studio think? And we had about, I believe it was 72 pitches, 72 ideas that kind of all formed up from various corners of the studio. And we try to coagulate that into like one, idea. Turns out these things are really, really hard.
We thought a lot about open world games and what makes some open world games just beautiful and great. And we kind of settled on wanting to have a clear fantasy as the player. Like, who are you? What are you going to be doing in the game? And then we came upon this game idea, which is awesomely simple, right? To hear about it is to want to play it. Who doesn't want to go to feudal Japan? Who doesn't want to be a samurai with a katana on their hip, right?
When you tell somebody that you get to play as a samurai, you don't really have to say anything else. You just say that fantasy, and everybody just builds a list of scenarios and narratives and gameplay scenes that you might get to play in that.
When we hit upon the Mongol invasion of Tsushima of 1274, it all clicked. Suddenly you knew who the heroes were, who the villains were, what the stakes were for the world, and you had a video game.
I'll ask you once again.
Foarte bine arată antagonistul aici.
Do you surrender?
Și foarte bine arată.
Ghost of Tsushima is a action stealth adventure game where you play a samurai in feudal Japan, and we're taking inspiration from the historical point in time where the Mongol army invaded the island of Tsushima.
All those locations are in-engine, they're in the world. That's the place that you're going to defend, a huge island filled with a lot of different places, towns, people. There's so much to learn, there's so much to see.
I think player choice in this game will mean something very different than other games that we've met in the past. We really want you to have that choice of, hey, that cool bamboo forest over there, I really want to check it out. I want to head in that direction, and I want to, see what it is. There's no waypoint. There's no thing that says, go here and look at this bamboo forest. And we just hopefully are presenting something that's beautiful and exotic, that's different than the current place that you might be in, and that will come at a world choice, right? Like that's your adventure choice. Like it's like, where do I want to go?
In Infamous, we let you explore powers. In this game, we let you explore what it is to be a samurai inside of this enormous landscape of medieval Japan.
Here at the studio, sometimes we talk about the world as a character, and I think that even in Second Son, we pushed really hard to make the flavors of the world come alive. There's all these other elements that make you remember what it really felt like to be a tourist in this place, and we're going to do the same thing for this game, starting with some of the shots you see in the trailer.
Scena asta e foarte epică.
We've been working on this game for 3.5 years, and it's exciting to be at a spot where we're finally able to share with the world what we've been working on.
And now it's just up to us to actually deliver this fantasy, this wonderful fantasy about being a samurai in feudal Japan.
Da. Foarte mișto. Jocul ăsta cu siguranță va fi frumos.
One of the boldest visions we saw was from a team called Pixel Opus. Let's delve deeper into the magical world of Concrete Genie.
Ne zice practic de Concrete Genie. Ok, hai să vedem un picuț despre asta.
The cool idea for Concrete Genie actually came from a brainstorming process that we executed with the team, where one of our artists, Ashwin, created a piece of artwork that illustrated a character being bullied. And he overcame that by creating artwork within the wall.
So Concrete Genie is a game about a boy who can bring his paintings to life. So all of our gameplay and our unique features are about having fun with paint and using the DualShock 4 to create amazing landscapes, but also make creatures that you can bring to life. And they have all kinds of interesting quirks and personalities and abilities depending on how you paint them. The goal is to make anyone feel like they could be an artist. It's a big part of our player fantasy. It's effortless and it's full of joy, and a lot of our progression mechanics in the game are about learning these new techniques for you to play around with and have a lot of fun with.
We're really lucky in that we wanted to use the power and the tech of the PlayStation 4 to make the drawings come to life within the walls.
And we've developed an awful lot of technology as well as design mechanics to help anybody make something as effortlessly as possible in this game. I, for example, can't draw in real life, but in this game I feel like I can. And so whatever the marks that you make with the DualShock as you gesture around in this world, we take that mark that you've made and we embellish it and we grow it into something really beautiful.
Da, asta cu siguranță e drăguț să joci
people get that same feeling that they did when they were kids and sort of drew with a crayon for the first time or looked at the first illustration in a children's book. I really hope that people feel that when they're creating their own artwork.
We can animate and bring to life these incredible creatures who all have their own AI and their own distinct look, and they're all completely unique to each player.
It's not just about creating artwork. It really is quite a bit more. It's about the adventure also.
One of the things that we learned from making Entwined was that if we're going to invest our heart and soul in making a game that has a message to it, we wanted to make sure that with this game we put it into a structure that people were going to have a lot easier time getting into. And so we decided to invest in making a third-person action adventure because that's a platform that we love. We love those type of games. And then all of our amazing kind of painting gameplay sits on top of that base.
Entwine was a perfect first project for the team. What we learned from Entwine is that we wanted to continue to make games that have an emotional connection with the player. You know, games that have heart. And that's sort of one of our internal mandates, is that we make sure that we have games that resonate with people from an emotional point of view. That's been important for Concrete Genie.
There's something really just intuitively fantastic about making these marks in the world and seeing them come to life as well. I'd say the main thing we hope people will feel is joy.
I feel as an artist this game is really a dream come true, because I think if you're a young person drawing in the back of the classroom or sketching, and we really give you the ability to have that same feeling that you do as a kid, but have your drawings come to life. I mean, that's is an absolute dream come true.
Drăguțel jocul. Sunt curios dacă va fi clasat ca și un full game release la preț întreg sau nu.
Among the many titles PlayStation announced at Paris Games Week was one that stood out for its innovative storytelling. It's called Erica. Let's take a closer look.
Erica? Adică?
Games are typically empowerment fantasies about that external conflict, and we're putting you in the mind of someone who is a living, breathing person. And so the decisions you're making aren't about high score. It's not about avoiding a game over. It's literally about the soul of this character and wanting to preserve that and wanting to do what's right for Erica. I think if you're not familiar with games, the easiest way to pitch this would be to say it was like an interactive film, but we think it kind of doesn't deserve to be like a subsidiary of like an existing sort of medium. It really feels like it's its own sort of thing between something like film and games. So we don't want to say too much right now about the story, but ultimately this is Erica's story and you are guiding it. And the heart of that story kickstarts with a traumatic childhood event which haunts her until her adulthood. She's contacted by an old family friend who believes that in her mind somewhere is the key to the identity of a killer that's on the loose. But then what starts happening is that the killer comes into the picture as well and starts to contact Erica.
Nu te uiți la un film și te joci jocul ăsta într-o seară.
These two sides of the same coin, and not really knowing who is the one to trust. And the choices you make end up sort of creating a bias towards one or the other. And ultimately, these pile up to give you this tough choice towards the climax of the game as to what you think the truth really is. Originally, we designed it as a very solo, intimate experience where it's just you and Erica and her world. When we started playtesting it, we realized that people would just sit on the sofa alongside their friends and they start getting into arguments about what's the right thing to do, and they can just watch it without having to understand what the game mechanics are at all, because the cinematic experience is so seamless, it feels like something you just watch on TV. It really works as like a backseat gaming experience, which is something that's always been like an interesting subject to me.
I've been watching you, Erica.
Whether you're playing Erica, or you're watching it almost passively and you're just in a sort of a social situation, it generally feels like watching a Hollywood film with the same pace and the same production value and that sort of flow that you're familiar with after like 100 years of filmmaking. What it allows you to do that a film doesn't is make you an active participant in that. And that means you can feel emotions that you haven't felt when you're watching a film, like guilt or shame or pride, these things, because you're involved with the decisions. So the way it's structured is very much like a sort of a typical feature film. It's always moving forward, it's always seamless transitions, and you're pushing it forward with the words that you choose for Erica to speak. And she won't speak unless you choose for her to speak. It's not like you're only involved some of the time. You really are in control of this experience. You're interacting every like 15 to 20 seconds, which creates this like great gameplay flow. But we don't want it to just be about dialogue. It's also about touching the world. And so by using your smartphone and PlayLink, you can do something like wiping condensation off of a window and peering through to the other side, or just wiping a tear from somebody's cheek. There's even like sensitivity in this world, so like the speed that you do these things. If you open a door fast, it makes too loud a creak, you'll see Erica react to the fact that maybe she's made too much noise and she should be quiet. It's about allowing your actions to be louder than words, essentially. So in film they say don't say it, you've got to show it. So in games it's not just showing it, but it's allowing you to express it with the choices you make through touch. The thing that excites me mostly is that I really hope Erica is a start of something new, because we had to throw out the rule book on how we develop games. What Erica's going to give us is a foundation for what could be endless amounts of stories for years to come.
Ok, Erica. Interessant.
One of Paris Games Week's biggest blockbusters is coming to PlayStation VR. It's called Blood and Truth. I had a chance to sit down with the team at London Studio to learn more.
One of the downsides of action movies is you're just watching somebody's experience on a small screen. What Blood and Truth lets you do is put on a VR headset and kind of immerse yourself in a story in a way that you could never have done before.
Imagine your favourite parts of your favourite action movies. You actually get to be in that. London Studio worked on VR Worlds, and one of the more popular parts of that was a game called The London Heist. It had action, it had drama, it had gunplay, but it was very much like a demo. What we wanted to do is take that, turn it into a full game. So everything that was in The London Heist, the object interactions, lighting cigars, shootouts, we want to take it to, well, beyond the next degree.
Dial it up to 11 and just really kind of amp up the action. London Heist was kind of like our love letter to the classic Cockney gangster movies. When we started the project of Blood and Truth, our inspiration was way more kind of classic action movies. In Hollywood terms, it's very much a big blockbuster.
The London Heist was, it was static, apart from in the van. Now you can move and shoot, you can dual wield, you can reload as you're doing it. You can plant C4 while you're taking enemies out, crawl through vent. Pretty much anything you've seen in an action movie, we've either considered it or we're doing it.
When you're playing the game in VR, it's more immersive than any other first-person shooter. You get to feel like you're there, and when you're kind of hunkered down and you're under fire and there's grenades flying in, you feel the intensity and pressure in a way that no other game lets you do.
Someone throws a grenade at you, you just pick it up, throw it straight back. You really feel like the action hero.
And the moving adds to it in a way that the Heist never did, which is it adds a level of tacticalness to the game, particularly with the strafing between points as well. So you're in the middle of a firefight and you can dodge around. You can actually start peeking around corners and stuff in a way that you just can't do in a normal game. Blood and Truth definitely immerses you in a way that no other action game has done before.
am înțeles. Mai este vreun joc pe care...
It's been almost a year since we have announced Last of Us Part 2. It's been hard being quiet for so long.
Asta cu siguranță vrem să vedem.
A little earlier, we got a new look at The Last of Us Part 2. Naughty Dog's not sharing much for now, but I was able to pry a few more details out of creative director Neil Druckmann. Let's take a look.
It's been almost a year since we have announced Last of Us Part 2. It's been hard being quiet for so long, but you know, in the meantime, we've put out a little game called Trebuie, The Lost Legacy. And with that finally out there and people playing it and enjoying it, the entire studio is now on The Last of Us Part 2. We're in full production. Every game leverages all of what we learned and all the technology we've built on the previous titles. So this is definitely using all the tech, all the engine improvements we made of Uncharted 4, and now we've had several years to build whole new tech to increase the fidelity.
Omule, ai lumina stinsă, totul întunecat, pare nedormit, pare obosit, dar știi sincer, dacă aduci un joc superb, toate meritele tale.
So this is the next evolution of our Naughty Dog engine as far as lighting, as far as our character pipeline, how we do muscle deformation, rain effects, even like our facial performance is this whole new rig and whole new pipeline so we can get an even truer performance to what we're capturing on stage. And now we want to give the fans a little something more, lifting the curtain a little bit on the story for The Last of Us Part 2.
Yara! Where's the other apostate?
Pare că nu vor să vorbească prea multe despre joc.
Clip her wings.
The Last of Us at its heart is about Joel and Ellie and their journey, but it's also an ensemble piece with all these other characters fitting into that theme, and this time we wanted to focus on some of the other really important characters.
Ok. Vă las pe voi să ghiciți cine este.
Year at the PlayStation Experience, we talked about the theme of hate and how much of this story revolves around that. This, you could see in a lot of ways, speaks to that. So instead of giving you an adjacent puzzle piece about Ellie and Joel's journey, we want to go somewhere else and give you something else and see how people make the connections. But as far as who these characters are, what their conflict is, where this takes place, when this takes place, we're going to leave it up to the fans for now.
Hai, naibii, vor să arate prea multe. Oricum, abia aștept. Nu știu dacă voi abia l-așteptați, dar eu unul The Last of Us. Wow. Deci, când a fost anunțat la E3, deci nu pot să vă zic cât de bucuros am fost. Ok. Deci, cam asta a fost conferința de la Paris. Conferința PlayStation de la Paris. O conferință bună. O grămadă de titluri interesante. Sony, sincer, mai lasă și Xbox-ul să respire, pentru că, frate, numai jocuri bune. De la un joc nou AAA, cum e Ghost of Tsushima, care arată superb, la, eu știu, Spider-Man, Detroit, care, wow, trailerul iarăși m-a impresionat foarte mult și mi-a plăcut foarte mult. God of War are nevoie de prezentare, frate, e God of War. Shadow of the Colossus remake, care arată superb și iarăși exclusiv, și într-un final cu The Last of Us, care a încheiat cu nota 10 prezentarea. Dacă ar fi să dau o notă acestei conferințe, a fost mică, la obiect și frumoasă. Sincer, un 8,5, și asta pentru că n-am avut decât un titlu nou, cu adevărat, știi? Au mai fost câteva noi, cum ar fi Concrete Genie sau Spelunky 2, dar știi? Dacă mă înțelegi ce vreau să zic, 8,5. 8,5 zic că este o notă foarte bună. I-aș da un 9, doar pentru faptul că am avut trailer nou în The Last of Us, în God of War, Shadow of the Colossus, Spider-Man-ul și cu Ghost of Tsushima. Ok, nota 9. Sony, probabil puteți să îmi ziceți că sunt fanboy, dacă vreți. Dar știi, cu atâtea titluri frumoase, nu pot să nu zic bravo. Un mare bravo, nota 9 Sony, la conferința de la Paris. Sony, PlayStation, mă rog. Aici Adrian de la Gaming Therapy. Sper că v-a plăcut reacțiile mele și eu știu, acum nu sunt PewDiePie ca să fac știi? Adică reacțiile mele ca o să fie în funcție cu trailerele care le văd și să-mi exprim bucuria prin cuvinte și prin păreri. Sper că v-a plăcut aceste filmulețe. Dacă nu, puteți să dați un dislike, butonul este chiar acolo. Dacă v-a plăcut, dați un like și până data viitoare, gamereala plăcută!